I was determined that I was gonna finish this damn book today! Welcome to this week's video blog. For today's video blog, I'm going to do my wrap-up for the month of November. Today is December 2nd? 3rd? It's the beginning of December. And, I finished one book and I DNF'd another, so it was not a great book month for me, because I am currently in the middle of another book, but it's kind of dragging, so I'm gonna give it another couple of chapters and then yeah, I don't know if I'm, because it's going like really slowly, and it's T.M. Fraser's Perversion. I mean, I'm like almost the halfway point, and the hero and heroine have just like they knew each other when they were like children. They met as children, and then they're like reconnecting. They found each other again as adults-ish. I think he's like in his 20s and she's late teens, early 20s. But yeah, it's just going really slowly, so I don't know if I'm gonna finish it. But finally finished my nighttime read, J.R. Ward's The Shadows. And I totally wanted to finish this book by December. We're in the beginning of December, so it's okay, because I wanted to start my next book in December, and we'll get to that in a second. But, so yeah, my J.R. Ward's The Shadows, which I loved. I loved J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood, and that's what I'm up to. I'm a couple of books behind, because I left this one for my nighttime read, and so I would read a little bit of it every night, and just some nights I was just too tired and I didn't feel like reading. So The Shadows is the story of Trey and Selena. Trey is the half of a twin brother. He's half of a twin, and his whole thing is he's from birth. He and his brother were given to the queen of their realm, as when Trey came of age, he was going to marry the queen's daughter, I guess. And then he and the brother escaped because he didn't want to marry the queen's daughter. He wanted to, how dare he, choose his own fate. So they run this nightclub called the, is it called The Shadows nightclub? But they're actually like, their species are called shadows. Because they can like dematerialize and like materialize into like other places. So Trey falls in love with Selena, who is one of the Chosen, which are a group of sort of servants, I guess, to the Vampire Brotherhood, and the vampires like feed on them, and they basically serve the Brotherhood. And Selena falls in love with Trey, but turns out Selena has this disease that a lot of her Chosen sisters have had, where they it's like this kind of bone disease where your body basically turns to stone and your organs fail and you die. So it's this really beautiful, I would try not to spoil anything, but it's this really beautiful love story. And of course, interwoven with that, now that she's like into later books, she's also she also works in subplots with the other characters, including Layla, who is pregnant with Quinn's twins, and Quinn is a gay vampire who is in love with Blay. And Layla just happens to have fallen in love with the very much wrong character of Core. Just J.R. Ward names her characters very oddly. Like it's fantasy, so you expect the weird names, but it's like urban fantasy, so they're like streetwise kind of badass weird names. So, and X-Core is the leader of the Band of Bastards, who, every time I say that now, I think of the Battle of Bastards, Game of Thrones, between Jon Snow and the evil, or that was Ramsay Bolton. So, Band of Bastards, it has nothing to do with Game of Thrones. It's these sort of warrior rebels who want to kind of they fight the Brotherhood because they don't think that Wrath should be king, and Wrath is the first hero of the first book of the series, Dark Lover, and he is sort of the king of the Brotherhood. And the Band of Bastards don't think that he should be king, so they're like constantly trying to overthrow him, and they're in scuffles and all that. And Layla happens to be in love with their leader, but of course they're like meeting in secret, and they haven't admitted to each other that they're in love with each other because, like I said, she's pregnant by one of the vampire brothers, and that would just be there's all kinds of angst and awkwardness, and it's just messy, very, very messy. Then we meet up again, of course, with Rage and Mary, who Rage has me very, 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 very worried because something's wrong with Rage. I don't know what it is, but I'm scared. And nothing better happened to Rage. I don't think anything like fatal happens to Rage, because I know that now that she's pretty much hit the core of the brothers, she's sort of branching off, and she will revisit the brothers. So I know Wrath got a second book in The King, where we revisited his story and him and Beth again, and it was beautiful. I loved The King so much. I loved that book. And I know that Rage is getting a second book. I think it's called The Beast. So I'm not sure if that's the next one or if it's The Chosen, which is the next one, which is Layla's book. And I'm so excited for that one. Oh my god. I loved this book. I finished it today because I was determined to finish today, because I wanted to have it in my wrap-up, to have at least one book that I finished in my wrap-up that was a positive thing. And so the last 5-ish chapters or so, things go ape shit insane. I mean, it's most of the book, it's angst and it's just sadness and it's horror, and it's just like, these people, like, can things possibly get any worse? And then the last couple of chapters, it's just this race of insane fracosity. Good fracosity, but oh my god. And so yeah, I loved that whole relationship with Trey's brother I Am, who falls in love with this, I'm not going to spoil anything of things, but who falls in love with this maiden type girl. And I love how they weaved the character Sex, that's his name, S'(EX), and he's sort of like the queen of the Shadows realms, executioner, I guess. And so I love how they weaved him into the story again. And so I look forward to seeing how his arc kind of goes. And I skipped the Assail parts because I'm sorry, I cannot stand that character, and I'm debating on whether I'm going to buy his book or just like borrow it from somebody, because I want to have all the books, but I hate his character. I hate his character because he is this piece of crap drug dealer who does business with the Lessers, and she tries to like give him this love interest, Marisol, and all I keep thinking when I read their scenes together is, run, Marisol, run. He is an asshole who does business with evil people, he has no problem betraying his own people to put money in his pocket. I'm sorry, in my opinion, that's not a hero. Even like, if you want to call, like with X-Corps and with just any other like kind of like bad-ish characters, X-Corps is doing what he's doing because he doesn't think that the people ruling should be the people ruling, because he thinks that he can do a better job, or not necessarily that I don't think like he wants to be king, but he doesn't want the people in power right now to be the people in power. He's not doing it to line his own pockets. He's not betraying anybody to line his own pockets. Assail, I cannot stand that vampire. So I'm gonna have a really hard time. Like, in the books so far that he's in, I've skimmed his parts. I've skipped his parts. I don't care about his story. So, but what J.R. Ward evilly does now that we've gotten into like the later books, is that she weaves in subplots from the other characters. So if you want to know what happens with the other characters, you have to read the book. So, but it's like, I don't want to support him getting his own book. So I'm kind of torn as to what to do. Because I want all the books in the series on my shelf. So I think I'm gonna have to get the damn book, but I don't want to read his story. So yeah, but The Shadows, it was fantastic. It only took me so long to read because I wanted to have it as my nighttime read. The next book that I unfortunately DNF'd was The Last Hope by, can you get that? Yeah, The Last Hope by Jessica Clare and I guess Jen Frederick, or writing as Jen Frederick. I'm not sure if they're the same person. And I was listening to it on Audible, as you can see. And I had to stop because I liked the first couple of books in the series thus far, and this one just disappointed me. Because it's Mendoza's story, who he was a guy we met, I think, when Daniel was looking for Regan and also trying to save his sister. But and so I he was an interesting character, and I was kind of hoping that the heroine for this one would be, I think I mentioned before, Vasily's sister, who he was supposed to have killed. He told everybody he had killed so that he could regain control and keep his power in the Russian mafia. But it turns out that he had not killed her, and she was like hidden away in secret. Now again, I don't know how old Vasily's sister was. I forget if that was mentioned, but going into this one, I was kind of hoping that she would be that the female heroine would be Vasily's sister, but she wasn't. She was this random hand model girl who was being used by, I guess, the Russian mob or some kind of mob to sell like computer secrets or some such. And the reason she was doing it was because they had her friend Rose held hostage somewhere. Now, this just, it did not work for me because it felt like a repeat of the same thing with Daisy when they had kidnapped Regan and was like sold her into sex slavery, and then they had to go and like rescue her and stuff. So it just felt like it was just a repeat of like a story that they'd already done, and that they'd written this story just to add an extra book in the series. I just did not work for me. And there was only so many times I could hear about the fact that the hero had a big penis. I mean, we get it. He has a big penis. And this creates like a sexual hang-up in him because his mother shamed him for it, because his mother was this horrible, horrible woman that just emotionally abused her son because she'd had a traumatic experience and had been raped and gotten pregnant, and that's how the son was conceived, which understandably, yes, that's a horrific thing for any woman to go through. But I'm sorry. In this day and age, there's help for you. There's help for your trauma. You can get therapy. If you're at the point where you're like, where you hate your child and you're treating him so horribly, then I'm sorry. Get help. Get help so you can be a better mother. I had no sympathy for the way she treated her child. She like so mentally warped him that he honestly thought that because he had a big penis that he was gonna kill somebody, because they'd made him believe that he killed a girl the first time that he had sex. And it was just awful. Now, yes, that was very sad and all. However, every other chapter was him going on, or if it wasn't him going on about his big penis, it was the heroine going on about his big penis. I mean, okay, we get it. They get stranded on an island, he has a big penis. They find the guy that was trying to kill, that was blackmailing the heroine into working with him, and because he had her friend held hostage somewhere. Mendoza has a big penis. They find a boat and they're like running for the boat. He has a big penis. I mean, come on already. Like, yes, we get it. I just felt, and I just stopped reading because it was getting ridiculous. And it's so disappointing to me because I loved the first couple of books in the series. And then this one just felt like, let's add another one to make more money. That's what it honestly felt like to me. It was just regurgitating the same sort of story that they'd done before, where like a girl has to save her best friend who's been kidnapped. And like the heroine was just this random sort of person, yeah. At least like with Vasily's story, I think her name was Nadia, and like she was like Daniel's sister, and there was like, you know, it was an intertwining kind of thing. It was like a continuation of the story. This one just felt like a random kind of money grab, and that's disappointing because I loved the first couple of books in the series. So that, yeah, it was the one book that I finished, J.R. Ward's The Shadows, which I loved, and Last Hope, which was a DNF for me. And we shall see how T.M. Fraser's Perversion goes, because I don't know, it's going too slow for me. So, I don't know, for a book called Perversion, I would think that there would be more perversion going on, you know what I mean? But I'm very happy that I did, thank you, finish The Shadows today, because then I could go on to my new nighttime read, which will be Lone Star by Paulina Zyment. I'm so excited to get into this book. My sister got me this book because I'd gotten her own copy a while back, and she finished it and loved it. She loved it so much that I'm so looking forward to getting into this one. And so this one will be my nighttime read. Hopefully, even though it's my nighttime read, which means I only read a little bit of it every night, hopefully it won't take me as long as The Shadows. Hopefully I can read a little bit of it every night. So I don't know if I'm going to finish it in December to have the wrap up for you by January. I doubt it, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading that as well. So that's going to be it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed that. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie. Like my Facebook page at facebook.com/authorejamie, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!